everyone, I'm Jay.
And I'm Sean.
And we watched a movie.
Yeah, we did.
A couple of them, actually. This is a twofer. So there have been some new releases on Netflix this week. Some big ones, some less big ones. These two are foreign films. They are subtitled films. And they are both about superpowers.
All right, so everyone else in the world is getting in on...
Everyone's doing it now, yes. And Netflix really has a theme going. They've got a lot of series like this. We just watched that Jamie Foxx and JGL one.
Something.
Yeah, thank you, Sean.
Project Power.
So it's a big thing on Netflix, and we've got two more for you. So the first one is a Spanish film whose English name is Unknown Oranges.
Oranges, unknown oranges.
Unknown Oranges. Unknown Oranges. Unknown
Origins.
Okay.
Done.
So there's this old detective, Cosme. I'm going to tell you who plays him, but these are Spanish names that I am about to butcher, and I apologize in advance, and then I'll apologize again at the end. Antonio Resines? Could be.
Could be.
So he's this old detective. He's being put out to pasture. He's being retired, and he's just kind of training the new guy before he goes, showing him the ropes anyways. And the new guy, Valentin, played by Javier Rey, is really nice about it. Like, he has a lot of respect for this old guy, and he doesn't even think that he should have to be retiring, and he really values him as a source, which is nice. So there's no conflict there. They go together to a crime scene that's pretty gruesome, actually. And it looks like this man has just been like maniacally working out and building crazy muscle mass, injecting himself. And he's dead because, like, the bar from the weights has crushed his, not just crushed his windpipe, but completely severed it, really.
Okay. Because he was having so much weight on the bar.
Yes. So, in the end, it went badly. So...
He should have worked out his neck a little more.
Thank you for your contributions.
Yeah.
So they're, back at headquarters telling their boss, who is Norma the boss, played by Veronica Echegui, possibly.
Possibly, probably not, but possibly.
Yes. And they're telling her all of this stuff, and it's not making any sense, but unfortunately the old guy has to retire. He's leaving this in the capable hands of young Valentin. But really, nothing about this crime scene makes sense. And it is very possible that nothing would have come of it until Cosme's son, Jorge, chimes in. So he happens upon some of the crime scene photos, and he recognizes them. So Jorge is like the opposite of his father. These two guys... They live together. Jorge is obviously a full-grown man who works in a comic book store when and if he actually gets up in the morning, because he's always sleeping in. And he's a slob who plays video games and eats cereal and loves his superheroes. And that's why he thinks that this crime scene photo is familiar. It looks an awful lot like something out of The Incredible Hulk issue #1. So with that little bit of information, the next gruesome murder scene that they come upon, they make that connection. And they're able to actually start connecting dots because Jorge is able to tell them that this is a serial killer who is reenacting origin stories from all of these comic books. So, that means Jorge has to work with Detective Valentin. And they're like an odd couple. And really, no one in his whole life has ever expected anything of Jorge. But Norma, the boss, knows him because she likes to cosplay in her spare time. But her spare time is often interrupted by police work, so if you're hoping to see her in costumes, you're gonna luck out. So I think if you are a comic book fan, you're going to get a lot more out of this movie. It really is made for fans. I think the stuff is taken from real issues of comic books, and it will be recognizable. And you may even put the clues together faster than someone who isn't a comic book fan as to who the villain is. The movie is a little weird in tone just because it isn't sure. Is it a gritty police procedural? Yes. Is it sometimes a goofy comic book movie? Yes. Like, it just kind of doesn't quite have an even tone to it. So it suffers a little bit that way. And you certainly could compare it to M. Night Shyamalan's Unbreakable, which I actually think is a terrific movie. I love that movie. Agree. So it's not as good as that.
So don't compare it then. Really.
Well, I'm just saying, thank you, Shauna. It pales in comparison, but it has that same sort of thing where the serial killer thinks that by becoming a villain, he can create a superhero.
Okay, so, yeah.
Somewhere in there.
Yeah, okay.
Does it work out like that? Because this movie absolutely has a very realistic feel up until, you start connecting the dots as to who is committing these murders. It seems like it could be any other police drama. So it is interesting, and I think that comic book fans will get something out of it. So,
okay.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Not bad. I think people who like comic books will be able to appreciate it on a higher level. And then the second one we watched is called Freaks, You're One of Us. So this one is German. The director is Felix Binder. And like the other one, we'll say the other one was directed by David Galindo, and you can tell that that guy must love comic books because he's able to like throw in breadcrumbs, and he is interspersing clues throughout the whole thing. In the Freaks, You're One of Us, they are creating their own origin story. So Wendy, played by Cornelia Gröschel, she is just a sort of quiet pork chop waitress.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. It's like a German fast food pork chop place. Is that a thing?
Steaks.
Yeah,
apparently it is a big thing.
Okay, yes, well, that is true. So she's just like, a very ordinary woman. She has a husband and a kid, and she goes to her therapy appointments once a week, and she has a job where she wishes she could be more assertive. And the fry cook, Elmar, has a little light flirtation, or maybe a little crush on her. He's a bit younger, played by Tim Oliver Schultz. So she has a kind of average life, but she's generally a content person, I think. And one night, as she's cleaning up after work, she's bringing garbage to the dumpster out back, and a vagrant man is, dumpster diving for scraps of food, I suppose. And she is not as rude to him as her boss would like her to be. But actually, he is there to give her a message. Not only is she one of us, she should follow the mermaid if she wants any information. And God bless little Wendy, because she doesn't really seem like the person who would follow the mermaid, but she does. So maybe there is something there. She follows the mermaid, and what this guy eventually tells her in an abandoned aquarium or something is that she has dormant superpowers. The medication she thinks she's been taking for anxiety is really suppressing the powers. So when you think about what that means, she's really unraveling a pretty vast conspiracy. And we can extrapolate that there are more people like her and the homeless guy out in the world, and that the government is somehow overseeing them. This government has somehow identified them and is keeping them medicated to keep their powers at bay. So I think that's kind of an interesting take. I think it reminded me a little of The Incredibles, because they were also identified by the government and told to suppress their powers. But yeah, this is just sort of interesting because we meet her and she's sort of meek and wishes she could be more assertive. And as she allows her powers to become more prominent, she really finds herself. She really comes into her own, and that's kind of an interesting journey just to see what those powers can give her as a person who now feels like she has some agency and some strength to her. But we see it go in a different way for someone else, a scary way that, you know, maybe justifies why the government was choosing to do this. So, like any superhero story, there's the good ones and there's the bad ones. And if you give any human that much power, you have to think about really what are they going to use it for good or for bad? And who gets to decide that, really?
Who does? Mm-hmm. Is it the government?
Is it the government?
That's probably not great either.
Exactly. I mean, governments will find a way to exploit it too, of course.
Of course.
Anyway, so that was 2 movies on the superhero theme we found on Netflix this week. What will next week unfold? Who knows? Maybe I'll do a better job at not butchering names. Again, I'm so sorry. Oh, I'm terrible. Don't worry, I often butcher English ones too. But that's just because I read everything like I learned to read in French. So I do everything in French and it's wrong, especially for Americans who have French names but don't know it. They don't acknowledge that they're French.
Names.
Yes, they do. So yeah, you liked that movie, I believe.
Yeah, I thought it was all right. Mm-hmm. Not bad.
Not bad. Two not bad movies if you're interested, if you're like jonesing for some superheroes, because I know we've been due. We were supposed to have had a couple already by now, and they keep getting put off. So Netflix is, you know, they're not great. This is not Wonder Woman quality stuff. But it's not trying to be either. It is not trying to be a big superhero movie. These are indie movies, and they're, you know, taking a different road. So sometimes that's interesting too.
Yes.
Okay. Well, now you can decide for yourself, and do let us know if you've seen it. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.